Welcome everyone to today's workshop. My name is Johnny Huang and I'm with the Community Economic Development team. Here we have multiple programs that can help you attain your small business dream or achieve your financial goals. So one of our first programs is our small business program. So if you're thinking of starting a business and you need that pre-planning assistance, like what kind of permits do I need, creating a startup budget or maybe a business plan, you can book a one-on-one consultation with us, and all these consultations will be free. If you do already have a business and you need to create a business plan to attain new funding or to work on your strategy, you can also book a free consultation with us. And we also do have multiple workshops just like this throughout the year. And we also do a entrepreneur training program. Our next program is our financial empowerment program. So if you do enroll in this program, it is also free of charge, and you will get a financial coach who will work with you on setting your financial goals, which will help you better understand and increase your knowledge and skills for finance. You can work on setting SMART goals, dealing with debt, understanding credit more, and then figuring out ways to build wealth. And next is our VITA program. And in our VITA program, this is our free tax preparation program. In this program, if you are considered low income, usually the quota is around 63,500 and below. Once you are qualified as low income, we're able to assist with you for free tax preparation. And during that, we do child tax care credits. And if you do qualify for that as well, while we do the tax preparation for you, if you do qualify, we'll automatically help you apply for that as well. And you can visit our website on cscla.org/VITA. Around tax season, you'll also be able to set up an appointment to do your free tax preparation. And Eddie and Alan actually here today are speakers, but they'll also be in charge of the financial empowerment we had just talked about, also the VITA free tax preparation program. And our last program, it's a new part of our CSC team, which is a CSC Lending. It's a service of Chinatown Service Center. The main reason we really created this program was to help small business owners that usually are not able to attain traditional lending. So if you go to a bank and you may be turned down because of your cash flow or credit score, you can turn to community lenders like CSC Lending, where there are more flexible terms. We'll assist a more holistic view and work with you on generating your narrative, your story, your business planning, most of the technical assistance that you will need. If you're interested in this, you can also shoot me an email at zhuang@csclending.org. I will have my contact information in the chat. And before we start today's workshop, we just want to also have a general disclaimer that this workshop is for general information purposes and it doesn't constitute as professional financial advice, legal advice, or any other type of professional advice. So right now I'm going to introduce our speaker today, Eddie. So for viewers that are on YouTube, we're going to be recording today, and in chat today on Zoom. Welcome to our workshop. I'd love to introduce everyone to Eddie. He's our financial coach and a speaker for today. Eddie, take it away.
Thank you, Johnny. Hi, everyone. This is Eddie. Eddie Lee. I am the speaker of today to tell you about more information about the Telephone Consumer Protection Act and what its intended purposes. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Do you see the screen, everyone? Okay. This workshop will cover the TCPA and its intended purpose, and also what type of communication that must comply with the TCPA and those that are exempted. Also, what business cannot do and must do under the TCPA, and what type of consumer consent will be considered is okay to the business, and how the TCPA is enforced and what causes if you violate the TCPA. Tips to avoid violating the TCPA, and also insurance may be one of the options to protect you as a small business for the TCPA. And also a footnote on this one is the presentation today is only intended to provide general information only. It is not a legal advice. And also TCPA is not a suggestion. Actually, it's a law from it's a federal law. Small business need to comply. Yeah. Okay. If you have any questions, please leave it to the chat or please raise your hand, and so we can accommodate that. But on the other hand, we will have a Q&A section after the presentation. Okay. For the who must comply. For the TCPA, any person or entity that engage in telemarketing, which includes initiating telephone calls or sending text or fax message to encourage the purchase of goods or services, must comply with this law. This includes business, individuals, call center, and any entity make telemarketing calls on behalf of another company via phone, text, or fax. It means that it is not only the business itself. If you hire some company helping you to make call or make messages to the end user, you need to comply with that. The TCPA applies to company for all sizes if they are contacting you as consumers, even though if your business or your headquarters is operated in overseas. In addition, business may be found liable for TCPA violation committed by third party. It means that your contractor, if you hire one, if they violate the law, the TCPA, you also need to be responsible for that. Exception to the TCPA, what is not included, which is manually dialed, low pre-recording message. It means that if I'm a business owner, I make a phone call to someone by I dial the phone call. Nowadays, maybe we don't use the term dial. We press the button instead of dial, because before when we use the rotary dialing, we dial the phone, but now we don't dial. We just press the button, and we are not using a robot to make the message. It means a pre-record the message. We do it in person. For example, I make a phone call to Johnny personally, then it is exempted. Or the second one is the HIPAA related, which is the health information related one. For example, like the clinics, if they need to call their clients or their patients regarding their medical information, which is exempted. The third one is for non-profits. It means a non-profit organization, they make a phone call to you, it is exempted. Informational and transactional. Informational is means that if this only for the information, not asking you to buy or purchase or telemarketing anything, which is exempted. Transactional, it means that if you make a purchase in a store and then the store finds something need to inform you regarding the transaction you make, then that will be exempted. Under the TCPA, you are considered to have an established business relationship, EBR, with a consumer if you have done business with them within the last 18 months, or if they make an inquiry within the last 3 months. An inquiry could be in any instant where the person actively reach out to your business expressing interest in your product or services. Having an EBR allows some exception to TCPA rules. For example, an EBR allows a business to make telemarketing call to a consumer even if they are on the National Do Not Call Registry, which we can expand this one a bit later on this one. As long as the consumer hasn't opt out, expressly request to be removed from the business call list. It means that if I go to a local shop in Chinatown and I leave my name and phone number to them saying that, oh, I'm interested on a certain product in their store, and asking them to call me back regarding the status of the order, then they are exempted from this. Then this call is not considered as a telemarketing call. It will be exempted. Even certain exempt calls are limited under the Trade Act. which is a telephone robocall abuse criminal enforcement and deterrence tab. Non-commercial purpose. Calls made to a resident 9 pursuant to the exemption for calls not made for a commercial purpose are limited to 3 artificial or pre-recorded voice call within any consecutive 30 days period. This means that is anyone who make a phone call to using the pre-record or using the robot to make a call to a residential line, they cannot make more than 3 times in a 30 days period. Or for commercial purpose, calls made pursuant to the exemption of a commercial call that do not introduce advertisement or constitute telemarketing for within 30 days. It means that they cannot make a phone call for commercial purposes. And for the HIPAA, which is the healthcare messages, is limited to 1 artificial or pre-recorded voice call per day, up to a maximum of 3 per week. It means that if you are a health-related company, you cannot make the phone call to a residential line more than 3 times a week, and limited once per day. To be in compliance with the TCPA, business communicating with consumer by phone cannot do certain things and must do other things. What business cannot do? They cannot deliver automated marketing call and text. Those make using an auto dialer system. It means that it's not a person, not a call made by person. It's just like the example I quoted earlier. I didn't call Johnny in person. Instead, I use a machine. I use a computer. I use a program to make the phone call, and also the message, what the content inside the call is made up by a robot or a pre-recorded message, which any business cannot do that. If you didn't get the consent from the people you call, for example, if Johnny didn't allow me to make the phone call, I cannot call him regarding in this scenario. But if Johnny did sign some written consent to me and saying that he would like to receive information regarding what Eddie can offer, then I can make the phone call. Also, nowadays, maybe not much people using the fax, but the fax advertisement is also limited, or the law is also restricted the fax advertisement for the residential line. And all this marketing call, even though you are allowed it, you cannot make the phone call before 8 a.m. in the morning and 9 p.m. in the evening for the recipient time zone. It means that if Johnny is living in East Coast, I cannot make a phone call to him after 6 p.m. in LA. Because 6 p.m. in LA, it means that it's already 9 p.m. in the East Coast. So I cannot make any such kind of phone call to Johnny after 9 or before 8. And also, some phone call is we cannot without the written consent if the recipient already registered under the National Do Not Call Registry, which is the DNC Do Not Call. I'm not sure any participant today, they did register under that, and you can go to the www.donotcall.gov to register your phone number, and then it will restrict the people to call you regarding marketing message. And this will restrict most of the phone call. Yeah, but may not be all, but at least to reduce some. Okay. And if a business want to make such kind of marketing, even though they are consent by the recipient, they cannot block their caller ID. Okay, it means that Johnny will see Eddie is calling him or Eddie is sending him message. I cannot block my caller ID, and then from Johnny phone set will show as anonymous or something like scam. Yeah, so that we cannot block our caller ID. On the other hand, what business must do to make the phone call? First, they need to obtain the required consent form from the consumer before delivering this TCPA regulated call, text, and faxes. And also disclose clearly that providing consent means the consumer will receive marketing communication. From the form they sign, you need to disclose very clearly about this consent. And also from this consent, you also need to mention if you are using AI generated, which is the artificial intelligence generated, or using some robot to make the call. And the third one, and the next one is after the consumer sign the consent form to you, you need to keep the record for the consumer consent. Because in case of someone say make the complaint about your call, you still can trace back whether this complaint is valid due to the consent form is signed or not. And also you need to ensure the communication you communicated with the client should be logical and topically related to the initial interaction that prompt the consumer consent. It means that, for example, back to my case with Eddie and Johnny, I at first telling Johnny that, oh, okay, I have a lot of good product in terms of electronic for him to sign the consent form, and Johnny signed it. But all of a sudden, I'm not only selling the electronics, I only selling the beauty product. Then this may be a violate the consent form already because I'm not Johnny didn't allow me to send him anything regarding the beauty products. Okay, so then you need to be careful on setting up the consent form. What is the content? What is included? What is excluded? And you need to clearly state that to protect yourself. Okay. You also, from the consent form, you also need to provide an automated opt-out mechanism for them, for the consumer. They can exit from the consent form anytime as they wish. From the call, you also need to identify, or from the call, or from the text message, or the fax machine, you also need to have a box there saying that if the customer want to opt out, exit from this consent form, they have the right to do it. You need to keep them have the options to opt out. You all once the people is opt out, you need to maintain this internal do not call list for yourself. So you need to make sure you will not call them again. Because sometimes maybe you may acquire the phone number from other sources. Then you make a call, but actually maybe this recipient was in your call list before, but then they opt out in the middle. And then you acquire their number from other sources, you call them again, then you still need to be responsible for that because they are already opt out from this call list. Allow consumer to revoke consent to robocalls and texts in any reasonable manner. For example, by pressing a phone key or testing start, quit, and revoke, opt out, cancel, or unsubscribe, etc. For them to opt out, it means that if it's a robocall call, the mechanism for the call, they can opt out from them to press a button to make the selections. And also, other than this TCPA, which is the federal law, you also need to understand the state law about this one, because they are more or less the same, but there may be some variance among different states with this TCPA law. So you need to check that when you make the phone call or when you make a telemarketing campaign. Okay, this is what I mentioned earlier regarding the National Do Not Call Registry, which is a department set up by the federal government. The Federal National Do Not Call Registry is a database where consumers can register their landline and cell phone number to limit unwanted telemarketing calls at donotcall.gov or 888-382-1222, which is donotcall.gov, or the phone number 888-382-1222. Telemarketers are required to remove registry phone number from their call list and refrain from calling them. Telemarketers and sellers are required to search the registry at least once every 31 days and drop from their call list any new number consumer have registered. Consumers who receive an unwanted telemarketing call after their number has been on the registry for 31 days can report to the Federal Trade Commission, FTC. Violator can be fined up to $11,000 per incident. Violator can be fined up to $11,000 per incident. A telemarketer or seller may call a consumer with whom it has an established business relationship for up to 18 months after the consumer last purchase, delivery, or payment, or up to 3 months after the consumer inquiry or application to the business, even if the consumer's number is on the National Do Not Call Registry. And if a consumer has given a company written permission, the company may call even if the consumer number is on the National Do Not Call Registry. However, if a consumer asks the business not to call, the company may not call, even if there is an established business relationship. It means that if someone go to your shop to buy something and leave the phone number, somehow you can make the phone call, make a telemarketing call to the consumer within 18 months. But if they already saying that they do not consent you make a phone call, even though they make a purchase from your shop, you still cannot make a phone call to them, except the phone call is related to the product they purchase. Okay. To avoid violating the TCPA, business must obtain certain types of consent before calling, testing, or faxing consumer. The type of consumer consent required under the TCPA depends on the kinds of communication being delivered. To divide inadvertently violating the law, it is necessary to understand the type of consents. First, priority consent, which is consent obtained before you delivering the call, text, and faxes. Express consent is an explicit, clear, and intentional agreement, oral or written, to receive certain type of communication. For example, providing your phone number to a business when you inquire about its product or service could be considered express consent. Express written consent is a written agreement authorized the sender to deliver TCPA regulated telemarketing communication. It requires the recipient phone number and a written or electronic signature. There also must be a clear disclosure that the consumer is authorized the business to deliver advertisement or telemarketing messages using an automated dialing system or artificial pre-recorded male voice, and that consent of marketing communication is not a condition of purchase. Note that consent is associated with the caller party, not only the phone number. If a number is reassigned to someone else, the previously acquired consent is no longer valid, and call, text, and fax are no longer allowed to that number. Among these all three types of consents, of course, the written consent will be best protection to the oral or consent. You cannot prove when there is a complaint because you cannot trace back whether that consumer did allow you to make the phone call to them or not. So that it's better for you to keep the written consent for anything, before you make any such kind of telemarketing phone call. Okay. As crucial as it is to obtain consent, the TCPA also requires business to first allow consumer to revoke consent to robocalls and texts in any reasonable manner. It means that we already mentioned it earlier, is from your phone call, you need to provide a mechanism for them to stop, to quit, to end, to revoke, to opt out, to cancel, or unsubscribe. And then you also need to honor do not call and consent revocation request as soon as possible, but no later than 10 business days after the request. It means that if the consumer raised the request, you need to finish it within 10 business days. Under the TCPA, opt-out and revocation of consent are interchangeable terms that allow consumer to stop receiving communication by revoking their prior consents through any reasonable method. Compliance. As I mentioned earlier, this TCPA is not a knowledge or is not a information for the small business. It is a law. It is regulated so that any small business or any business need to comply for this law if you make telephone marketing. On both the federal level and the state level, it is critical to avoid large fine and or lawsuits. The fine is, like I mentioned earlier, which is $11,000 per incident. It's per incident, not a case, per incident. A growing number of state laws have their own law regulated and monitor and tax. This law typically have protections on top of those provided by the federal TCPA. For the state residents, callers have to comply with regulation at every level, federal, state, and local. So that if you need to find out your state has a telephone consumer protection law, you can contact your state attorney general office at www.naag.org, www.naag.org, or a consumer protection agency. Once again, to protect yourself, you need to obtain prior express written consent from the consumer you want to call them. And you also need to have a very clear disclosure language, inform the consumer what they agree about this concept. And you need also to honor do not call registry and opt-outs. The TCPA is a strict liability statute, which means a company can be held liable for a violation even if they did not intentionally break the law. The Federal Communication Commission, the FCC, and State Attorney General enforce the TCPA and can levy penalty for violations. Consumers who have received call or messages that violate the TCPA may be able to seek damages through an individual or class action lawsuit. The pre-violation penalty can be as high as $500. that amount can increase to as much as $1,500 per violation if the violation is determined to have been willful, done knowingly. So, for example, if you call or text someone 3 times after they have requested to be put on your do not call list, they may be able to sue you for $500 to $1,500 for each of those 3 TCPA violations. There's no cap on the total penalty amount, and because the TCPA is a strict liability statute, there is generally no forgiveness for unintentionally violation. In other words, being unaware of the TCPA rule is not a defense, so that you cannot the excuse I didn't know that as an excuse for you to violate this law. Looks that business can also be held legally responsible for the action of a third party working on their behalf, such as vendor or contractor that engage in telemarketing that violate the TCPA. It means that you may hire someone to make the phone call for you. If they violate the law, you also need to be responsible. Here are some tips for complying with the TCPA and protecting your business from penalties and lawsuits. Once again, you need to obtain a paper consent. It means that asking the consumer to send you a written consent for that. Second, after they send you the written consent or they give you the written consent, you need to keep a detailed record for that list. Be relevant. You also need to have a valid reason to contact someone before doing so. It's just like an example I quoted earlier with Johnny is, if he signed the list for me to provide electronic information, I need to get another consent from him if I want to send him about the product of beauty product. So that it needs to be relevant to the purpose of the call. You also need to enable opt-out option to the consumer. They need to exit from that consent anytime they want. Keep your contact list updated. We make sure that you input those people they said they already opt out from your call list so that you don't commit the error. Even though they already asking you to keep them out, you're still calling them, then you may violate the law. You need to understand the law as well. You need to check the service provider clearly whether what their performance record before. Do they have any violation for their customer before? Because if they violate the law, you also need to responsible for that. You need to train your staff if they make the phone call, what need to be done for those people they are concerned, they are opt out, and what kind of product or what kind of condition the consumer they allow you to make a phone call to them. And of course, the last thing is you need to get legal advice from the legal people regarding this if you get into the case. Okay. If worst come to worst, if you encounter with such kind of difficulties, of course you need to handle it by the legal. But before that, before you go into the situation, there's also one thing can help you to reduce your liability, which is the insurance. You can check your insurance company whether they carry a full coverage for the TCPA claims. With a premium they will ask you to pay. So that this can help you to release some of your liability for the TCPA law. It will not make you 100% off from that, but it will help you to be a bit easier when you encounter such kind of issues. Okay. These are the information regarding the what we have discussed it today more in details, so that we will send you the slides after this sections, so that you can get all this information. Okay. This is the second one for all the question for all the resources you can check before you do the telemarketing. Okay. My presentation come to the end at this moment of time, so that we will go to the Q&A sections. Any question you would like to raise?
Thank you, Eddie. So if there are any questions, please, everyone, you can put them in the chat. And also in the chat right now, everyone, you'll see a survey link. If you guys please have some time, please help us fill this out. It's going to take at least 2 to 3 minutes. It's going to help us with our future workshops. Let us know what you want to hear about, maybe what kind of workshops you're interested in, what kind of topics appeal to you. It'll help us really shape our future workshops so that we can give you guys better content. All right. So if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. We do have a few questions that we've prepared for you guys, so we can generate more insights for both our live attendees today and our attendees that are on YouTube. Because everyone that may have joined late today, we are also recording this workshop. It's going to be posted on YouTube, so if you do want to come off mute and you turn on your camera, just know that it's going to be uploaded to YouTube. So right now, take it away for Alan. I think we have some questions that we received earlier. And if clients in today's chat have any questions, please put them into the chat as well. Thanks.
Okay, I received a questions. This is about today the topic is focusing on the phone. So how about the emails? The business, if they have email, they receive lots of the email about the advertisements, or they send out the email that people doesn't like the subscription. So it says we need to follow the same rules to remove them from the contact list.
Okay. No, the email is not restricted under the TCPA. So that for the TCPA, it's only limited to phone call, text messages, and the fax,
So
which is more related to the old traditional communication: phone call, voice call, text messages, and the fax. So that even under email or those advertisements through the social media is not restricted from this TCPA.
okay, so another question is about some of the people, they graduate from the college and they keep receiving the call from the college. They said because we are the alumni, and they're asking for donations. So those things is the person feel annoying for the school. They're asking for the donation from the alumni. Is this also we could using the TCPA to tell the school not calling from the list?
Supposedly, they can go back to the school, or from the phone call. If there's call by a person, you should tell the operator you want to opt out from there. If there's a robocall, then they should give you a exit mechanism for you to asking them to remove you from the list. If they don't give that to you, you go back to your college and saying that this is a issue for you. You don't want to receive any phone call like that, and then they should have the opt you out from there.
So if they keep doing this, it says they violate the law of the TCPA.
Generally speaking, I cannot answer this question because we are not giving legal advice, but you can check with the legal whether you can sue them by in that sense. But of course, you definitely have the right to asking them to remove you from the list.
Okay, so I don't see other questions.
Okay, great. I mean, if those are all our questions, I want to say thank you to Eddie today for the great presentation, and Alan for the questions that we have gotten from our clients. So, as we wrap up today's workshop, for those that have attended today, today's workshop was actually on the small business side, but there's a whole other world to TCPA. There's an individual portion of this of TCPA that if you don't know about yet and you haven't registered for yet, we are having a TCPA workshop tomorrow, more focused on the individual side. It's actually going to be the first QR code, everyone. I do have a second QR code, but the date actually is correct. Okay. So yeah, if clients today haven't registered for our individual workshop tomorrow and you are interested in understanding your individual rights, not as a small business owner, but just as an individual, feel free to scan the bottom QR code so you can register for the session tomorrow. Today's session is recorded. We'll upload it to YouTube, and we'll also send along the slides, a survey, and as well as a link to the recording for everyone that's attended today. Eddie and Alan, any last thoughts or anything else to add?
Thank you for all joining this sections. And if you have any question, please feel free to contact us so that we will try our best to accommodate your questions or see what we can do for your situations.
So, Johnny, can you leave the email on the contact checkbox?
Yeah. So everyone, the first email I'm putting right now is achung@ucla.org. This is for Alan, and this is. But everyone, the emails will be sent out also in the chat. So if you do want to set up maybe the financial empowerment or the free tax preparation, or want to learn more information, you can shoot an email to us. But in the follow-up email, you will have all the resources from today's workshop. And again, on behalf of CED and our team, I want to say thank you for everyone attending today. Hope to see you guys tomorrow, and I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.